Welcome back to the Pigskin Podcast. I'm Ben Pherson. This is Jason Feldman. Feldy, we're back for a quick turnaround here.
Feels like we were just here.
We're
on the sun today, by the way.
I know. I feel this is bright. We're not, we talked about doing it on location, but we felt like we were rushing it a little bit. What we'll say is if Stewartville wins on Saturday, we're going to try to come to Stewartville, Schaefer Field, and try to do the podcast there next week.
So get your signs ready, Stewie fans.
Yeah, if Coach Meyer will have us, if the administration allows Feldman on campus, then we'll come down to Stewartville and we'll do the podcast. You got to win first.
I only trespassed once. Is that wrong?
I don't know.
Stewartville's probably better than the sun. Andy keeps moving his lights closer and closer to us
Your
every
rap
week.
sheet is as long as this thing, I'm pretty
sure.
But anyway, section finals, we got an awesome Saturday of football coming up. Feldy, let's get last week out of the way a little bit here first. We got players of the week.
Lots of good stuff.
You want to go first with your player of the week? Because I haven't selected mine yet. I'm going to do it while you're going through yours.
No, look through Wednesday's paper.
I'll read
here
the paper
just,
while you do yours.
You
now.
go ahead and decide for one of many players.
I'm giving it to Lindsay Whalen.
Are you? That's a good choice.
I know.
She's won a lot of championships.
Thank you, Lindsay Whalen.
She's won a lot of championships.
I said I had to thank her.
Well, yeah, it says it right there.
Anyway, quit rambling. Go.
Chase Grindy, Spring Grove. Didn't have his best game of the year, but he didn't have to. I mean, he threw for 107 yards, 8 of 12 passing, ran for 42 yards on 3 carries, and started the game with a 65-yard interception return for a touchdown as they beat Mayo Canton 48-14 in a Section 1 9-man semifinal. That was the 2-3 matchup in that section. That win sets up the big rematch that I'll get to be at on Saturday afternoon, Spring Grove and Grand Meadow. I think everybody's been looking forward to that one all year. Grand Meadow kind of took it to them in the section title game last year, so we'll talk about that one a little bit later, but we'll see what Spring Grove has for him and Mr. Grindy, see what he can do on Saturday.
Definitely, and another guy that we could pick every week.
Yeah, we could have, and that's part of the pick this week is just we could have picked him so many times this year and haven't. He deserves it. So.
I'll go with another Chase, one from just up the road. I always like going to high school football games in small towns because I don't need to look up where the field is.
I can just find the lights?
Yeah, I drive into town, I see the lights.
The best thing about covering high school football games in small towns, which I don't get to do much of here, but I did at my last stop, is you got to go early and stop at the local diner for an early supper.
I do that in Goodhue.
That is great.
I do that in Goodhue, but yeah.
Well, look at me. I like to eat, so it doesn't matter where I go.
That's fair. Somebody tell us where I need to eat in Stewartville on Saturday. I was hoping that Cody Buchanan would give me some food when I get down. Maybe his mom could feed me when I get there, but we'll see. We'll see what happens on Saturday.
You could probably just stop at any random player's house.
I could. There's a lot of things on the way to Stewartville. See, there's a Chipotle
That's
on
true.
the way down
there.
There
is a Chipotle.
But
well, you could eat for a second time. You could have second dinner when you get there.
Well, I'm gonna probably have to eat. I got a 2:00 game and a 7:00 game, so I can do either. But all right, my player of the week is Chase Raymond from Plainview-Elgin-Millville. Man, that kid, you don't appreciate, I knew he was good. People have said he was very good, and Coach Kessler from Lourdes told me before the season he thought he was the best running back in the area. And, until you see him in person, you can't appreciate how good that kid is. He had 288 yards on 29 carries, 3 touchdowns. And the most incredible thing about that is he had 210 yards with 6 minutes left in the first half.
Yeah, I was watching your tweets while I was at the Mayo JM game, and everybody in the press box kept asking what he was doing, and we were updating them, shaking their heads. What a performance in a big game.
He had 2 60-plus yard runs in the first half.
What does he have, close to 1,000 yards over the last 4 weeks?
961 yards in 4 weeks.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Good luck, TCU, stopping that guy.
On turf.
Yeah, on turf.
To boot. But, he's, like I said, you can't appreciate exactly how good he is until you see him in person. Just the burst from that kid, and he's powerful. He's a big kid. He's not a small burner. He's a big burner. He can run through you. He can run around you. And when he gets to that second level, I mean, him against high school kids is a joke. I mean, you're in for a rough day if you let him get to the second level.
You're not going to tackle him with one guy.
No. I mean, and it's hard to hold him with one guy long enough to keep him there to get the rest of your teammates there. So, yeah, definitely worthy player of the week. Another kid we can name player of the week every year. He's going to go over 2,000 yards for the season this week. So. Awfully good football player.
It's
like you said, good luck, Tri-City United, trying to stop that kid. But that's my player of the week, and I think he's a good one.
Again, lots of great candidates once again this week from some really good section semifinal games on Tuesday night. I mean, could we have asked for much more drama in a handful of those games? I mean, even your game, Lourdes and PEM, which PEM kind of blew them out in the regular season. It's a 1 touchdown game the other night. You know, JM beats Mayo by a touchdown in the final 30 seconds. Just Goodhue beat Rushford by a point with a late touchdown, if I remember right. So lots of good games the other night. We can only hope that Saturday's games match that drama. And
it's gonna be tough to match that.
Yeah.
And I think a couple of those games, we said it in Face-Off this week. I kind of think a couple of those games got you into a tougher matchup in the next
right,
round. You know,
absolutely.
so we'll see if it's as close as it was.
For sure.
But, definitely, when I look at the slate of games we've got coming, there's going to be some good ones for sure. But we'll jump right into the picks and we'll kind of break things down. We're going to talk about every section finals.
Talk a little bit about the semifinals too as we go through the list of championship games here. Let's.
We both went 5-2 last week, so you didn't pick up any games in the standings. You got 3 games to make up.
I got to start going big or go home here at some point.
I think you're going to have to go home if you don't make up the ground right now.
I only have 4 weeks left. I got to make up some ground in a hurry here. So let's jump right into it. We'll start with the biggest class, at least in our area, and that's Section 1 5A Championship. Again, congrats to JM for just an amazing victory over Mayo the other night. I put it out on Twitter. I've been here for almost 11 years.
You're old.
I am. I realize that when I walk into the locker room these days and I don't recognize the music that's playing. I used to, when I started this job, I would recognize the music that the high school kids are playing, and now I just want them to turn it down.
I recognize it, I don't like it.
You don't like much, though.
I'm very particular.
Yeah, I know. Well, let's talk about
Northfield. The field goal squad.
How about that?
Yeah.
You know,
5 field goals.
Everybody's talking about their 5 field goals, but how about the job their defense did to Owatonna?
Well, their defense is starting to be the defense you wrote about. Yep. You and I have chided each other about that, but, we saw how both those teams started their year. Yep. Those were supposed to be the best 2 teams in that section, and I think now they're there. And now we see that they are. Right. It just took a while to get there.
And Northfield's finally getting healthy, and that's the biggest thing, I think, with them. You look back about 3 weeks ago when they played Mayo in the regular season, they got a couple of linemen back. In fact, when I talked to their coach, Bubba Sullivan, at the start of the year,
he's been around forever too.
Great name.
That's a football name, right?
Yeah. But before the season started, he talked. I asked him who he expected his leaders to be and players that we should watch for, and he rattled off a bunch of linemen's names, which coaches don't always do. And a couple of those guys have been injured. A couple of those guys have been injured, and they're getting them back and getting back to health on both sides of the ball. And I think we're seeing that now. So, JM's going to have his hands full. And they did the first time they played Northfield. It was a 6-0 game here. So
you want me to pick first?
I would expect something similar. Go ahead. You tell me who's going to.
I got the Rockets, baby.
I knew you would.
I got the Rockets,
Of course
baby.
You do.
They're taking off.
Yeah.
It's right by my house. Man, I think it is going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's a 12-6 win for JM. I think it's going to be, you can't have 2 more evenly matched teams. The thing that JM, I think Northfield is good enough defensively that they are going to have to figure out a way to throw the football to win that football game.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be 200 yards, but
they have to do it more than just, I think they attempted 6 passes on Tuesday night.
They have to flash that dimension of their game.
They have to do it, and they have to do it early and at least put it out there as a threat. And Pat Ruff, who covers JM, we were talking after the game the other night, and I mentioned to him, even if it's just something as simple as bunching 3 receivers to one side, throwing that screen down the line of scrimmage, just to put that element into the game. JM was very successful against Mayo with lining up Kaz Martin, the speedy little scat back behind 2 bigger backs, and kind of hiding him a little bit with those guys. But they're going to have to do more than that against Northfield's defense. The way Northfield is playing right now, I just think they're on a mission after what they did to Owatonna. Like you, I think it's going to be close, but I think Northfield wins 16-13.
What? You're picking against the hometown club. You think they're going to come in?
I think they're going to come
our town
to Rochester, and they're going to kick.
How dare you? Please send 16. All emails to Jason Feldman.
Maybe I should change it to 15-13. 5 field goals again.
Could be.
That kicker is. How many high school teams have a weapon like that, though? From watching the tweets and the recaps of that Northfield Owatonna game, it sounds like he can kick from 50 yards if he has to.
Yeah,
it's a weapon.
Yeah, it is definitely. Especially when you got a good defense, it's a weapon. Right. When you're going to get those opportunities to do it. Yeah, I think it's going to be a great game. I think that's a game you should take in on Saturday. If you get out to a game on Saturday, why not? You could seriously watch football from 11 a.m. on Saturday.
That 9-man game that I'm covering starts at 5. If it goes fast enough, I might head over and watch some of that game at JM. I think that'll be an entertaining game. If you like the close, intense games, it might not be high scoring, but I think it'll be a fun one to watch.
So let's get to 1-4A, Section 4 or Section 1 Class 4A game. Winona won a thrilling game over Red Wing.
Wow.
They were down by a ton. I know there's a lot of talk about the officials in that game, but whatever. They came back. They rallied and beat the Wingers, and Stewartville had no problem with Cass and Manorville. Although they did give up 18 points, a season high.
I know.
I don't know how many of those.
Assuming most of that came in the second half.
It did.
I would guess.
Yeah, it was like 35 to 6 or
score,
something. But yeah, it was a typical Stewartville performance. I think they were workmanlike and got the job done. And
me
they're
first on this one.
Yeah,
right?
go ahead. I'm sure you're picking an upset in this one, right?
I do need
You
to
gotta
make
make up ground.
I do need to make up ground at you, but this is not the place to do it. That
No?
Stewartville defense is just too tough, and the offense is lights out, as we've seen. However, I do like Winona's combination with their quarterback PJ Apicelli, and they have a good hard-nosed runner in Tanner Emlinger. So I think they're actually going to put some points in.
You must have read my preview.
I did. Actually, I didn't, but I just
What?
know that from. I'm sorry.
I
No,
think
I'm
you're
not
right.
sorry
I think
either,
Winona's a team that's finally healthy for the first time all year too.
That's right too.
And that's why I think they're awfully dangerous. They won a lot of close games early, but we're seeing them blow teams out now. And put up a bunch of points. So.
And obviously now we see that when Winona gets down, they don't ever believe that they're out of the game. They know they can come back. Now doing it against Stewartville is an entirely different thing than doing it against Red Wing. But I've got Stewartville winning 44-20.
Yeah, it sounds about right. I think, the Big Nine Conference is not as good as it's been.
It is not a thing anymore, actually.
Well, that too. The slate of opponents
Right.
Winona played
Right.
compared to what Stewartville is this year, I guarantee Winona didn't see a defense like this in their schedule this year. That Stewartville defense is what is going to win this game for them again, and I've got them winning 35-6.
I'm in. Not to look too far ahead, but I'm really excited to see what Stewartville can do in the state tournament too, and we'll talk about that down the road, assuming they win this game.
And they will get the Section 2 winner, which
Correct.
would be Hutchinson or Marshall,
And
a
that's
game
a
everybody's kind of talked about
Amazing
a little bit.
matchup right off the bat, but we'll break that down next week if it happens.
Good luck. I just think good luck to anybody scoring points against that Stewartville team. You're going to have to get creative, and then you're going to have to be so smart with the football on your own. So we'll see. But 1-3A is the section that I'll be covering that game too. Plainview-Elgin-Millville versus Tri-City United. That's at your Mayo High School. Tri-City United got there with a close win over Cannon Falls. I think that was 7-0 till late.
Yeah, it looked like Cannon Falls defense did an outstanding
we
job
thought,
in that game.
That's what we thought could happen, and Plainview, as we said, got that late kickoff return touchdown by Jacob Johnson, and that was the difference.
I think that game was closer than their win over Lourdes was closer than a lot of people thought it might be too, considering what happened in the regular season when those
Considering the coaching staffs, and this is what Kevin Lamb said too. He said he knew they weren't going to be the same team that they saw a few weeks ago, and that team was adjusting the fact because Borgerson went down in that game.
Right.
So they were kind of shell shocked, I'm sure, when that happened, and they turned the ball over a couple times early. That killed them. So.
And let's just take a minute to congratulate the Lourdes team on another really good season. It's got to be hard to come off a state championship and have those kind of expectations and pressure on a new team, and they held their own throughout the entire season and nearly made it back to the section finals.
And we're a touchdown away from being in the section finals, which is incredible considering all the guys they lost off that team last year. So, and yeah, it was a pleasure for me to get to work with Coach Kessler this year. So, anyway, Plainview versus Tri-City United. Tri-City United is a very senior-led team, a team with everybody back from last year, but. I'm on turf. I'm going Chase Raymond. I just think that is it my pick first?
Your pick first.
All right. I'll go Plainview-Elgin-Millville 35. Tri-City United 27.
35 to 27.
I think Tri-City United is going to score some points. I think Plainview's going to score some points. I just think Chase Raymond ends up being the difference in that game. Tri-City United's defensive line is very good. I think that's a thing to watch. Their two defensive ends are very good. Their quarterback. Talking to Coach Lamb about their quarterback, it sounds like he's a pitcher on the baseball team, and
he's got a bit of an arm.
He's got a cannon.
Does he throw a knuckleball?
No, he said that he's got on the tape you see a lot of receivers dropping balls, and he said he flat out thinks it's because he throws it so darn hard that.
So he's like Brett Favre.
He's a lot like Brett Favre.
Well, maybe he'll throw some interceptions.
Right. Better
Bulldogs
pitcher, I
can
think.
take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Well, this is one where I actually had PEM written down to win, but I got to try to make up some ground on you here. So I'm going to just flip the team and keep the same score and go with TCU 29-26. But you're talking about TCU having such a good defensive line, and I haven't seen PEM play. Do they throw the ball to Raymond out of the backfield? Is that an option, something we could maybe see on Saturday?
I would love to see it as an option. I think that's a part of their game that needs to be worked on a little bit. You know, obviously when you got teams that have to key on him and they have to key on Ike Brewer and Joe Miller and Jacob Johnson, they do a great job of mixing up where they go with the run. It would be nice if they could add that passing because it's there when they do it because everybody has to focus on the run so much. So, yeah, I'd love to see Brady Zeeble get going in that game and and toss it out to. I asked Chase Raymond about Zeeble, and his quote was, "He's the best quarterback on the team." I said, "Yeah, I hope," but I said, "You don't want to take his job with that halfback pass you threw." Although that halfback pass was pretty wobbly that he completed against Lure.
So he'll stick to running.
He'll stick to running the football, definitely. But yeah, I'd love to see Brady get going, and it might come down to him hitting a couple of those long passes over the top when those defenses are all collapsing in on their running game. So we'll see. That I think that's going to be a great game too. I'm excited that I get to go see that one.
Well, let's move on to this next one because I talked earlier about potentially leaving the regional sports stadium to go watch the JM Northfield game. I might have to hang around just to watch the one that's going to follow the 9-man game. 8 o'clock Saturday night out at RCTC, Lewiston-Altura, Caledonia.
8 o'clock?
8 o'clock.
Past my bedtime.
I know, that's pretty late for me too. I might have to, maybe I'll bring a pillow with me. Guy Lembeck's covering that game, so I'm sure he'll be running around with enough energy for all of us.
And Lewiston advanced with a 42-21 win over Triton, and Caledonia obviously had no trouble with Chatfield. Right. That Lewiston offense is awfully good, but Caledonia, I don't know. I just think they're on a different level this year. I think this is the state title game. I really do.
It very well could be.
I do.
And we talked about Limbeck covering this game, and he watched Caledonia play early in the year, and he's not one to throw superlatives around when he comes back after watching the team, but he came back in after watching them, I don't know if it was right around the middle of the season at some point, and said that team's going to win a state championship. So,
I think
you
they
look
win
at their
the 3A
scores.
state championship too.
I don't doubt that at all. You look at their scores, you look at the way their defense is playing and that offense too, their quarterback. Is it Owen King?
Yep.
Right? Yeah, he's seems like he's getting better and better every week. So, as much as I've been on the Cardinals bandwagon, I got to take Caledonia in this one, and I'll take the Warriors. Can I steal your 35? Yeah, 35-21.
How dare you?
Oh, I dare.
I go 35-22 Caledonia. And honestly, if it's that close, I will bow down to Lewiston because I think that Caledonia football team is just such a rare team that we have in this area because Caledonia has a great weight program. Their kids all through there hit the weights and it shows on game day.
Well, and you think back even to their teams that won state championships, that's what you hear those kids say is the underclassmen, we're getting back in the weight room on Monday. You win a state title on a Friday or Saturday, we're getting back in the weight room on Monday and looking towards next year.
Yeah. So, like I said, I think that's a juggernaut. I think a lot of years Lewiston is a state title type team, this team that they have right now.
They just happen to be in the section as the best team in the state,
I know.
unfortunately.
I agree. So moving on, Section 1A title game is Goodhue versus Fillmore Central. That is a game at Mayo High School, correct?
That is at Mayo High School.
Yes.
That's right. Yep, that's an early one too, 11 a.m. So.
And that's another rematch, right?
Yeah, you guys in Goodhue and Fillmore get to bed early on Friday night. Yeah, Fillmore won that game. I believe it was 12-9. It was a really close game. We talked earlier this week about Goodhue and their 3 losses, how they're all very close within a score. I think this was one of them early in the season to Fillmore.
Man.
You're up first.
Goodhue just survived a barn burner last week that we both got right. We were on G-Force that week, and you know what though?
Good effort by RP.
I can't go with G-Force this week.
Man.
I'm going.
I was going to get one on
Fillmore Central. I think this is going to be one of the tightest games of the week. I'm going to go with Fillmore Central 20, Goodhue 12.
20-12. Yeah, I'm debating whether I want to change my mind now that you picked Fillmore Central.
Could be another game wrong for you.
Good, yeah, it could be. But like I said, one of these weeks I got to go big or go home. So look at that. I'm going to scratch
Crossing
it out.
it off?
I'm going to do the same thing I did with the PEM game. I'm going to keep the score that I had, but I'm going to change it since you don't have any faith in Goodhue.
How dare you?
I will. No. Goodhue 21-18. Wildcats. Going to state.
G-Force.
G-Force.
Yeah.
Can you say that when you pick against them?
I'm always, once you bleed purple, you always bleed purple. You should know that.
Fair enough.
Yeah. All right, now the big one.
Yep.
The one you've all been waiting for. Maybe we should skip.
Should we leave that one for the end?
We should leave that one because you threw in this other game.
Well, we had to pick 7 games.
We don't have to pick 7 games.
Yeah, we do. We have to pick 7 games.
When you need 3 games
because
to make
I'm
up.
3 down, and we pick 7 games every week. So we're picking 7
Faribault
games.
BA at New Ulm Cathedral. Totally in our coverage area, right, Feldy?
Faribault is right there on the border, a few miles past the border of our coverage area.
I saw that you put this game on the docket here, and I had to look everybody up. New Ulm Cathedral is a team I used to cover when I worked at the Free Press in Mankato. So I do know Nuke.
30 years ago?
I know Nuke.
The only thing I know about Cathedral is they have an outstanding softball program because they're at the state tournament every year, usually frustrating the heck out of one of our area teams.
This is an all-private school game. I got to go with New Ulm Cathedral, Faribault, if you go through their schedule, boy, they're battle-tested in the sense that they've won a bunch of close games, but they've won some very close games against very bad teams, too. I mean, they played like a one-score game with Medford, winless Medford. Yep. So, even though they're 9-1, I'm definitely going to go New Ulm Cathedral 35-7.
Wow. That's not even close.
Well, who cares? Yeah, no one's going to see this.
Nobody in Faribault gets the internet.
35-7. No one we don't cover either of those teams.
Nobody in Faribault gets the internet.
Classic Feldy here. So now you're going to change your pick?
No, I'm not going to change my pick. I'm with you on this one. New Ulm Cathedral has not played a lot of close games. They've won a lot by a lot of big scores. So
Sessom?
Right.
What? Sleepy Eye St. Mary's?
Sleepy Eye St. Mary's.
Yeah.
Said
they played them.
I don't know where Sleepy Eye is.
What?
I don't know.
It's by New Ulm.
My Minnesota geography.
It's on 14. You keep going on 14. Yeah.
So if I just drive west, I'll run into it. Eventually.
You'll hit New Ulm Cathedral and Sleepy Eye St. Mary's.
I'm going to take FBA 30. Or excuse me.
What? Whoa!
New Ulm Cathedral.
Oh, come on.
38-28.
All right, fine. Now the big one: Spring Grove versus Grand Meadow, on the turf out at RCTC. The biggest game of the year, obviously, for these guys. I just wonder. I wrote that in Face Off as well. I wonder if either of them showed anything in that first game, because I sure wouldn't, because that game really didn't matter.
When I talked to Grand Meadow coach Gary Sloan today, I asked him that exact question. Not that he's going to say, no, we didn't show anything. But he worded it as such that he said, I told my kids going into that game that our entire playbook is available. No, he didn't say they use their entire playbook. He also did say that both teams are likely going to have some tricks up their sleeve that they did not show in that first meeting. So it's on turf, but the one thing he raved about when I asked him about Spring Grove was their speed on defense. He said they're not as big maybe as they have been in the past. He said they are fast and they get to the ball. So I think it's going to be another close game like we saw the first time.
It's you first, right?
Me first. I picked Spring Grove to win the first time. They lost by a point. I'm going to pick them to win by a point this time. Lions 20-19. No offense, Larks. They've had a great run, Grand Meadow. I just think it's Spring Grove's time. They've lost to Grand Meadow 5 times in a row. 3 of those games have been by less than a touchdown.
Grand Meadow, man, would I throw you for a loop if I just took Spring Grove, wouldn't I?
As I was mentioning that Spring Grove, or that I'm picking Spring Grove, I'm totally thinking Fierce's going to do the same thing.
No, I can't do that.
You can't do
that.
This is a game that we can.
They've had a great, Grand Meadow has had a great run, a run that will continue on Saturday.
They've won 32 games in a row. Is that pretty good in high school football?
I'm not a doctor. I don't know.
You don't know.
But
what do you mean?
I'm going Grand Meadow, and I think it is going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a lot more high scoring than the first meeting, simply because I don't think they did show anything. And I'm going to go
35.
There's going to be a 35 in there. I'm going to go Grand Meadow 42, Spring Grove 35.
Yeah, I think.
What do you like? What do you think about that? A 35 loser?
Well, I think you're wrong, but.
Fair. That's fair. I mean,
it wouldn't
easily could be wrong.
It wouldn't shock me to see that game be so high scoring, but
Can we just do that game like 3 times to determine who wins the
best
state?
2 out of 3. That's probably.
I'm thinking best 3 of 5. Maybe. I'm saying 3 more times.
Let's just play it for the entire state tournament.
Yeah. Why not?
I like that idea.
But
we keep it all right here in Rochester too, right?
I'm fine with that. But so huge Saturday of football. Good luck to everybody playing.
Get out to a game. Get out to 2 or 3.
Why not?
There's games all day.
You could just camp out at RCTC all day. There's a college game out there too.
You're gonna sit next to Fierce in the press box. I'll buy you.
I'm not going to be at RCTC at all. I'm going to be at Mayo
Yeah.
And then I'm going to be
We'll
at
sit next to you there.
Stewartville. Someone can just ride along with me if they want. I've got room in the car.
Or maybe we'll send Andy along with you.
You can sit in
chronicle your
You
day
can
with
sit
your
in
photos.
Jack's car seat, and we can go from there.
He's probably would have
So
to tighten the straps on me.
Stewartville, if you guys win, we would like to come down and do this from a practice. I don't know how we're going to do it.
I don't know why you would want us, but
I'll probably throw a couple of passes out to Joey Thompson or somebody.
I don't think Andrew Quint will be scared.
He should be. I got a cannon on me, but anyway, thanks for watching and good luck on Saturday, everybody.